Hi, Bill Barber from Poliigon here. In this video we're going to look at how to properly use some Poliigon HDR images in 3ds Max with V-Ray. Okay, so this is the scene that we'll be using today. It's a very simple scene, just a basic model of a house. I've got a camera in place and that is about it. So let's start off by loading up the V-Ray settings and starting our interactive render. There we go. Move that over to the side and I'm going to load up my material editor. Now at this point we're going to bring in a texture map. So go to Maps, V-Ray, and then V-Ray HDRI. Double click on that and I'm just going to name this 16K, EXR 16K. And I'm going to load in our, funny enough, 16K EXR. Now this will provide the lighting for our scene initially, but one of the downsides of a 16K EXR is it is huge, absolutely massive. Rendering with that alone is going to take up a good sort of 3 gig of memory, which isn't really ideal, but it's where we're going to start with. So at this point I'm going to I'm going to go over here and create a new V-Ray light, which I'm going to place here. There we go. I'm going to jump over to the settings for it and I'm going to change it from a plane to a dome light. There we go. And we'll now see that the dome light is lighting our scene. So what we need to do is drag this EXR into the dome light, like so, and also change this mapping type to spherical. And now we'll start to see our EXR. One thing you will instantly notice though is the exposure looks a little bit off. There we go, change the multiplier down to 1. There's no need to multiply these HDR images. They have the correct exposure values as is, so you can use a multiplier of 1. Okay, so at this point we want to adjust our lighting to be whatever it is we want in our scene. Now in my case I quite like it about here. Not looking at the background, just looking at the model. That's the sort of lighting that I want in my scene. So we now have some problems. One, I don't like the image that we've got in the background there. The building looks kind of out of scale and out of place compared to the rest of our image. And also the memory usage is just ridiculous. So what can we do about it? Well, first of all, we'll fix the memory usage. And I'll go to V-Ray HDRI again, and then on this first one I'm going to bring in the 2K instead of the 16K. Okay, I'll just rename that, which is great. That loaded up nice and quick. We're still getting the same quality of lighting, but as you can probably see, the background's now looking a little blurred. Now if we were going to be keeping the background as is, that's really not ideal. It'll be very, very obvious that it's a low resolution EXR. So what we're going to do with this second map is bring in the 16K JPEG. Now JPEG isn't suitable for lighting. I'm going to change that to spherical as well, which I'll demonstrate now. If I were to feed this into our dome light, we'd have our, what was the 5.4? So we have our nice high resolution backdrop now, but we're getting no scene lighting because a JPEG just doesn't have the information it needs to provide that. So let's feed that EXR back. There we go. So now what we need to do is duplicate this dome light, which I'll do now. Create a copy of it, move that down a little bit, and then for this first dome light, the one that's going to be providing our lighting, I'm going to click invisible, which will mean that it's now not contributing towards this background. If I click invisible on this one as well, you'll see what I mean. So we now have no background. Now this second one is only going to be doing our background, so I'm going to unclick invisible and I'm going to turn off diffuse specular and reflections. So literally all it's responsible for now is the background. So I can feed our JPEG, which I haven't named. There we go. I'm going to feed that into this second dome light. Our lighting won't change because it's still being controlled by that first dome light. But now we can rotate this one around to something, say, like that, get that building out the way. A couple of trees in the background actually looks fine, so we'll leave that as is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. By using two dome lights, we can have our low resolution EXR providing the lighting for our scene, and then separately have a 16K JPEG, which is still a very or relatively small file size, controlling our high resolution background. So in summary, we've downloaded some HDR files from Poliigon.com, used a low resolution EXR to light our scene, whilst using a high resolution JPEG to provide the background image, and rendered all of this out with V-Ray.